Hello and welcome to the Alpha Anywhere Demo and Q&A. I'm Dave McCormick here from Alpha Software, and I'm pleased to present today Chris Martin, who will be going over some UI tips and tricks that he's picked up in building some applications. Afterwards, we'll be able to take some of your questions regarding the techniques that he's used. So let's get started. Hello, Chris, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me see if I can see your screen. Ah, great. There it is. Perfect.
Which one are you seeing? Is this Desert Gadgets?
It does indeed. I'm looking at your blog.
Okay, this is my blog. Oh, yes, this is my blog. This is a very important day, Dave. I am exposing my blog for the very first time here, which, you know what that means?
What's that?
That I have to keep up with it.
That's a good point.
So you can take as much time as you want to present your first blog, but once you do it, you have to actually keep up with it.
You have to stay on top of it. All right. Well, excellent. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on your blog and what you'll be showing us today?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be showing today using a ClockPicker with Alpha Anywhere, but I have some other things in my blog here, some white papers I've done. I'm going to scroll down a little. Some other things I will also be presenting in my blog, and that is things like JavaScript coding. This is a little blog that I posted about JavaScript equality and how you can use different ways of checking equality and the differences between, say, an equal and triple equals and object is. Anywhere that I am able to do it, I will be actually using JS Fiddle, which I showed a few weeks ago, to, for example, show the results of what happens, or if they can actually get a link to the site where it was done and play the code. So here's a link to JS Fiddle, and it takes a little bit to come up. So here's the code right here, so you can actually modify this code and change it to suit your needs, and test the code right here before you place it into your alpha project.
Cool.
Today, like I said, I'm going to be, let me scroll back up to the top of the blog here. I'm going to be doing, using the ClockPicker. Now this is JavaScript code that I've gotten from, and let me bring it to their site. I've gotten this from this site right here, which is, and I have links to all these in the blog. This is the ClockPicker that somebody created. It's open source. You can get the open source from GitHub. I have the link for that also. He is no longer maintaining it, but that doesn't mean that it's not good enough to use anymore. It's just fine. I've been using it for a while. However, if you do want to make modifications to it, I mean, you could get the actual source code and rebuild it for your own needs. But some of the things that you can do with the ClockPicker, he has some examples on this page here of different clocks that you can use. This is the default this is actually a done button right here, and that actually says done. Can you read that, Dave? Did you know that meant done?
I did not know that. Yeah, you might want to modify that.
Okay, yeah. Well, actually, in my example, which I will now go to, it is in English. So here's a text box that I have. You can select the time, the hour. So as you select the hour, it switches to minute, and I can say 4:10. I can say AM, PM, and then say done, and that will set your time. So this is great for mobile development where you don't have a regular keyboard, but you can also use this in an Alpha Anywhere website also. Switch back to design here. Go back to my blog. So anyways, these are the two links that I was just showing you for a the ClockPicker authors page and also the GitHub link. The first thing I'm going to do today is we're going to create a project, and I have step-by-step instructions in here for everything that I'm going to be doing here today. I'm just going to scroll past this because I'm just going to take you through all these steps in creating our first project here. So I'm going to say on Alpha Web Projects Control Panel, I'm going to click New. On the upper left-hand corner here, click New. Web Component. UX Control. Now you can either double-click like I did previously, or you can click the object you want and then click Next. And I'm going to select a blank page. So to start with a blank UX page, and click OK. Now the reason I'm creating my project first is we want to bring some files in here from the blog, which I have links to on here, into the project once it's saved. So I'm going to click on Controls. And then I'm going to click Save This. So I have a name. So I have Test 1, Test 2, Test 3. So like I said, I think I went on Test 4. I'm going to save this. So I have my project saved. I'm saving this in the same project that I built earlier to do this other demo right here. And what you need to do is get the files from ClockPicker. So here's a folder where my ClockPicker is running right now. I just created a new UX component for it. I'm going to click on ClockPicker Web Projects, Default Web Project, and this is where all my UX controls are right here. Well, one of the things I need in the project is that I needed a CSS folder and the JS folder. And the CSS folder contains this file right here, which is your cascading style sheet file, Bootstrap ClockPicker. The other file that you can use for the project is these two files, which are two JavaScript files, Bootstrap ClockPicker and script.js. You can also get these files from the same blog, and the link for it is right here. So if you click on this link, this will actually bring you to this Dropbox page where you can download the files that you're going to need for your project and just paste them with these two folders where they need to go in your project. So that's all I need this for. Next thing we're going to go into is property settings. Now that we've copied the files, put them in the proper folders, they're part of our application, we have to make some property settings here. First thing we need to do is we need to copy some copy a style into our local CSS definitions. So we're going to get a copy of this right here. I'm going to copy that. Go back to my project. Go to Properties. Scroll down to our CSS definitions right here. So I'll double click here, and all the instructions for doing this are back in that blog. Step-by-step instructions. I'm going to paste this in here. Click OK. Step 2, I'm going to go back to the blog. I want to copy and paste this line right here into the JavaScript link files. So I'm going to copy that. JavaScript link files right here. I'm going to paste that in there. If you type this in by hand, be careful not to have any spaces in here. So if you have spaces in here, it will not work. So for example, I'm going to click, put a space there. I'm going to double click here to open this up. You see there's a little indentation there. This will not work if there's a space in there. So I found this out the hard way, that you want to make sure that there's no spaces in there. There are no spaces in the one that I have up there, but if you're going to type this in by hand, make sure that there are no spaces in that JavaScript link file. Back to the blog again. Step 4, we're going to copy this cascading style sheet into our project. So we're going to link to that also. Back to the project, and our CSS linked files, we're going to paste that in there. Okay, we're done with the properties now. I can go to my controls page. Actually, I'm going to save this, everything that I've done so far. Next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to add a text box, and all the instructions for doing this are also back at the blog. So I'm going to add a text box. And I'm going to set it a few different settings here. Let me go back to the blog. So here's adding the text box. I just added the text box. I'm going to set the type of text box to short time. I am going to set the class of the text box, and I'll step you through this when I go add this, to ClockPicker. And I'm also going to set it to read only so that you can't type into the field. When you click on it, it will pop up. So first thing I'm going to do is change the type here to short time. and want to select that class. Just going to scroll down to it right here. This is what linking to those files did. So we're going to have the ClockPicker right here. So I'm going to add that. Double clicking it, or you can just hit the add here. Click OK. And finally, I'm going to set it to read only right here. And with any luck, I'm going to click working preview and this will work. Do you think it will work, Dave? You crossing your fingers?
Well, I don't know. This is a live demo, so that's you know, you got that counting against you.
There we go. There it is.
Wow. Good for you.
There it is. That's all you have to do to add this to your project. I'm going to click 2:25 p.m. Done. There we go. That's simple. Imagine doing it on a device. It's so much simpler to do with your fingers.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's all you have to do. We had the style, cascading style sheet file we brought in. We also had another file for the ClockPicker that was a JavaScript file. A third file that was in there was a script file. And that script file is what I have open here. And when I click on the clock, I'm going to go back to here again, you can see that it's lined up to the left side of the control over here. And that is defined here, so align left. Auto close, it's not auto closing. Oh, no, so sorry, the bottom right here, so it's to the bottom. If I had selected top here, I'm going to test some other settings because the website doesn't really say that top is an option. I want to check to see if there's a right and a left that you can do also. I'm going to make sure that I have all the other options that you can add in here, so I'm going to go through those. He's not maintaining the site anymore, but I can put those in my blog. So the bottom means that it shows up at the bottom. Right now, if I had this on the top, you wouldn't be seeing it right now because it doesn't push the screen down. Auto close is when you select 3 for 3 p.m. If you select auto close and hit 15 right now or any of these numbers, it would say, okay, you're done and close. But it doesn't give you a chance to change this to AM. So you have to make sure if you have auto close turned on, that you select AM first before you click this, because when you click that, it will actually close like that without the done button. The set for a 12-hour clock now is true, and that we have a done text. So this is the script.js file, and there's the settings needed. Number one, to have it in a pop-up little screen that it shows up in, but also all the settings for where you want it to place near your component. And that's pretty much it. It's a very quick demo. Any questions on using it, Dave, yet?
Not that I can see, but if anyone has any questions. First of all, I'd like to see, how do you connect it to your data? Oh, actually, 2 questions. One is, can this be used in both directions? Like, can I set this to control to a certain time, or is it really just a picker for choosing a time?
Oh no, yeah, it can be set, and you can assign this to a field right now. Mm-hmm. I didn't put a default value, but I could put a default value of 9:00 a.m. Run it. Yeah, I think we'll run in a second here. Got a lot of stuff open, so it's a little slow.
Yeah. Not to mention you're streaming your screen, which takes a little power.
So there we go. So 9 a.m. was the starting time, and it even goes to the setting. So yes, and that I'm using the text box, and that could be data driven. So you can have it connected to data. I am using it right now with connected to data. So whatever is set in there will come up as the time, and then you can change it to say 12.
You've used this control in an application for a client, haven't you, recently?
Yes.
That came up. Cool.
Yeah. I've used it for one client, and I'm using it for another client for another application.
Nice.
Also that I'm distributing this week. This works both in, I've tested it on Android, iOS, and it also works with Windows Phone, which is the client that I'm working with this week. So I had to make sure it worked for Windows Phone and everything is good.
Yeah, great. Hey, just a quick, we don't have a ton of people on today, but just a quick show of hands, or actually just type something in the question box. Is anyone else working with Windows Phone, or are you all pretty much working with iOS and Android at this point? So if you just let me know, I'd like to just get a quick survey. I know Windows Phone is gaining a little bit of popularity among corporate users, but yeah, it doesn't look like, not here today. Looks like most people are Android and iOS.
You know, a lot of times it's usually taken up when Dion is talking for him to talk about all things that are coming up, events and things. You want to talk about any events coming, like DEF CON?
DEF CON we'll get into, I think, next week.
Next week?
But we have another question here about the picker, and that is someone wants to see, what does it look like when you do the 24-hour clock?
Okay.
So I'm used to clock faces with just 12 numbers on them, so what does it do?
So let me switch back to here, and I'm going to change this to false. That should change it. I'm pretty sure I haven't checked that setting yet, so we're
It says 12-hour. Oh, that's set to...
And I said false.
Oh, it is set to false.
It's set to true for 12-hour.
Oh, what happens when you set it to true then?
You get this clock.
Ooh.
So you get a different clock here.
That's interesting.
So 1430.
Yeah, clever.
Yeah.
And probably still pretty easy to hit with a finger on a phone. So.
Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, great. Someone has written in and said that they're on your blog, but they're not seeing the instructions you're referring to. Can you take us back to your blog and show us where you are and where we can find the directions?
Okay, let me go back to here, and it should be at the very top when you go to the site. Let me.
So the site is what? Simply Desert Gadgets.
That's actually Christopher John Martin.
ChristopherJohnMartin.com. Okay.
.com. And if you site, it should be.
Yeah.
The first thing that shows up. Are you trying it there?
So scroll down. And there it is. Okay. And the directions are, they're right on the homepage.
They're all the instructions in here. So we have creating the project, and I have the steps for creating the project. Then we have required files, and I'm not really finished writing the blog yet. I just started this yesterday. So I'm going to be adding a little bit to this, but this right now has everything that you're going to need that I just demoed here to in your project right away. Property settings, these are the steps for doing property settings.
Yeah. So if someone wants to bug you about, hey, where are the directions and stuff, do you have contact information here on this? I mean, you can always send information to guides, GUIDES, at alphasoftware.com, but...
Yeah, you can do that. Also, you should be able to comment and to the blog also down at the bottom. I believe there's a place down there. Well, maybe there isn't. I thought there was. I will make sure that's turned on. I'm just creating this website, but in the meantime, under resume.
It's there. Oh, so Chris's email address, by the way, here is chris.martin@alphasoftware.com, so you can always get in touch with him that way.
Yeah, here's another one of my email addresses right here, and then I have several emails, but I'll have a contact information page up here pretty soon. Cool. But anyways, this is my blog. Just started it, and this is one of my first.
Do you have any other UI things that you'd like to show off? Pin IDs.
Other UI things that I would like to show off. I don't have it right now. However, let me open up one of my devices here. See if I can share that screen. Give me a second here to.
Someone else asked, how did you find that JavaScript thing? Where do you usually go to look for JavaScript?
Actually, that was in a project that I got, and I had to pull everything out, and because I didn't know exactly how it was built, so I had to pull everything out of the project that I had to figure out exactly how they built it, and those are the step-by-step instructions that I just put in that.
So it was handed to you in this case.
It was handed to me in this case, and I just had to pull everything out. Very similar to what I'm about to show here in a second here, which is this. Let me open this up here. You're not seeing on the screen. I'm bringing up my mobile device.
Okay.
And visor. I'm opening this on another screen. As soon as I'm able to see my device, I'll open it up. So come on. I've had problems with this working or not working depending on. So okay, there we go. Finally, it sees it. Hang on a sec.
You're using Visor, right?
Yeah, I'm using Visor.
You've talked about this in other webinars before, but Visor lets you show off what's on your phone on the screen. So this is great if you've got a client on the phone, maybe you're doing a Skype call and you want to show off what something would look like on a Android, or is it Android and iOS? Is it
Android and just Android.
Just Android.
iOS, I use another tool.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just ignore.
I don't see Visor appear anymore.
This is for a client that I'm working on, and what just happened to my screen? Click OK. I brought it over here, and then it just
disappeared.
Just went on me. Disappeared on
me.
Setting
screen.
Yes. Let's try this again.
All right.
We're opening it, connecting.
So let me just give a little setup and tell me if I'm way off base, but this is how you explain this to me, is that, when you're doing mobile applications and you want to authorize users, often you might be in an offline mode, so you don't really have the ability to call back to a server to check to see whether or not a username and password are correct. But at the same time, you also want to secure or lock down that mobile application. So if I recall, the way you have this set up is the first time you log in, you do need to be connected to a server. But then after that, you can set a PIN number, and then in future sessions, you just enter the PIN number. So
exactly. So this is one that I've already entered a PIN number to get into here, so I can actually enter the PIN number, and then it will bring me right into my application.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, I think I changed that PIN for this. Maybe it's.
I'm glad to see it works.
I may have changed it. Oh, yep, there we go. I actually did change it. Change a PIN. So yeah, if I put an invalid PIN number, which I did. Nice. So it brings me to the application now. Now, to get into this, I can now, another thing that you can have is say you forgot your PIN, you can do a logout and they can reset your, we're going to have one of the features in here is going to be to reset your password, and so you basically do a logout, and then you would exit the application, enter the application again.
Okay.
And it will bring you.
Asking for a PIN. It should this time ask you for your password.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Oh, there it is. Password. Yeah.
So I'm going to enter my username and password just so you can see what's going to happen for the first time you came into here.
Yeah.
It brings you to this screen right here. So this I'm going to be turning into a UX control that you can just drop onto your application.
Nice.
That'll be presenting this in a few weeks. It should be ready either by the end of this week or next week. So basically you do a login, enter a PIN code.
Oh, great. So this will be a prefab like UX that you'll be giving away?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and basically the landing page you want to land on will be dropped in as a embedded UX control into your app. Into this UX control, you will embed your page that you want to launch on a successful login. So this will be coming up. This is another nice UI feature that we'll be having pretty soon that you can drop right into your project. A lot of people have been asking for it, so I'm going to make it available for everyone, and make it easy to drop right into your application.
Fantastic. Great. So I think we're going to do a short session today, only about 25 minutes. We'll give everyone maybe one more minute, though, to type in if you have any more questions about either the PIN control feature or the ClockPicker. If not, if you do have other questions, go ahead and send them off to guides, guides@alphasoftware.com.
So where is everybody today? Is it spring break this week?
It must be spring break. We have a tiny fraction of our normal audience. For those of you looking for Dion, he will be back next week. We'll do another full session. So that looks like about it. Notification, great. All right. Oh, and we want to talk about email notifications. That's something that actually we are going to bring up next week. So for those of you who tune in, we'll be talking about that as well. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Chris, for presenting. I hope hope to see you at next week's webinar, which will be Dion McCormick. In the meantime, do send in those questions, especially ahead of time, to guides@alphasoftware.com. If we have material to work with, we'd love to show it off here in the program. So thanks again. Take care, and goodbye.